are very well known as a proponent of the psychological, the spiritual side of medicine. At the same time, you've been a critic of what popularly passes for holistic health. And since I'm assuming many of our viewers are quite well aware of the field of holistic health, let's start there and talk about the things that disturb you in that field.
Well, the thing that disturbs me about my own profession is its almost complete ignoring of factors of consciousness, emotions, attitudes, feeling states of various sorts, and what happens to the body.
We're going to touch on that extensively.
Yes, indeed. But on the other hand, there's another extreme, which is to say that consciousness is everything, and that what happens in terms of physical illness is 100% a reflection of what happens in my psyche. I think the evidence for this, which is the position taken by the so-called the extremist point of view in holistic medicine, I think there's trivial evidence for. And I think it is a gross overstatement to say that everything that happens in my atoms and molecules is a direct reflection of what I think. There's a term that is used quite widely these days to reflect this point of view, and it's this phrase, I create my own reality 100%.
It's giving a lot of credit to the ego, it would seem.
Well, I think it's presumptuous, and I might even say arrogant, and a statement that's just chock full of hubris.
One of the concerns that I've often heard is that people who are ill and then they take a seminar on this approach, and many good techniques may be offered to them, but often they begin to feel a sense of guilt, like if I'm responsible for this condition I'm in, how can I forgive myself?
Well, it does create a great amount of guilt, I think. I think it's instructive for people who maintain this point of view that everything that happens with their physical body is a direct reflection of the psyche would do well to look at the health histories of some of the spiritual geniuses. Three of the holiest people I know anything about in this century have all died of cancer. Krishnamurti died of cancer of the pancreas. Suzuki Roshi, who brought Zen Buddhism from Japan and set up the San Francisco Zen Center, died of cancer of the gallbladder and liver. The most beloved saint in modern India, Ramana Maharshi, died a grotesque death of cancer of the stomach. I would submit that the lives of these spiritual geniuses show us that there is not a one-to-one, linear, straight line, invariable relationship between spiritual health and physical health. And if they can't keep all of those balls juggled in the air and maintain total physical health, I think that ought to give pause to those of us in the holistic healthcare movement who claim that we can.
And in fact, we could draw a much larger list of very well-known proponents of holistic health who have died sudden or unexpected or painful deaths.
That's precisely correct. The list is really endless. Another very interesting example is Saint Bernadette, who saw the vision of the Virgin at Lourdes. She, although this vision set in line all of these healing miracles, when she needed one, she did not get it. She died a grotesque, painful death of bone cancer at the ripe old age of 33. So I think that although the holistically oriented folks are on the right path and going in the right direction, there is immense trivialization in this movement.
I was very moved, Larry, by an interview I did with a spiritual teacher, Irina Tweedy, an 80-year-old woman who had studied Sufism in India. And she said during our interview, she said, we can heal anything, but we cannot heal anybody. That we have to take into account that person's karma. And I think that goes a lot deeper than looking at I create my own reality on an ego level. That there are many, many deeper parts of our being that are involved in this process.
And as a matter of fact, Jeffrey, they may be so deeply embedded in who we are and how we fit into the cosmos that the meaning of any particular illness may be completely unknown to us. There's an instructive example in the New Testament. In the book of Luke, the disciples are following Jesus around and they encounter this blind man. And the disciples ask, who hath sinned, this blind man or his parents, that he should be born blind? And Jesus' response was that no one has sinned. This man's not at fault. He didn't create it. The parents are not at fault. They didn't have a hand in creating it. But the reason this man was born blind is so that the works of God should be made manifest through him, and he healed him. So this suggests that there may be cosmic meanings that may be known only to the absolute, and that may not be understandable by either the patient, the physician, or the people around the patient. So this is deep mystery. And I have great trouble with these books that abound now, where you can look up your disease in one column and you see the deficiency in thinking in the next column that led to it, and you can see the remedy, the right thought to have to make it go away. I think to follow this kind of concrete, literal interpretation of the meaning of the illness is to open ourselves to great error.
It's taking a spiritual approach and trying to fit it into a mechanistic framework.
Yes, it's a very linear, totally rational framework, which I agree leaves the spiritual dimension somewhere far behind.